Socratibus distinguor. Sophroniscum non alium habet patrem, even patrim. Even, however, if we could admit and render, brother of James, this extension of genitive and kindred would not justify its further extension to the relation of friend, and the same objective applies to Petrus, brother of Damanus, as to whom Fabric Tom XSI P88 Tom XXI P814. Saint Jerome, writing about 60 years after the death of Eusebius, speaks of him as the friend, eulogist, and companion of Pamphilus. Epilogue ADV Rufin I 9 Ipse Eusebius amateur et preco et contubernals Pamphili tres libros scripsit elegantissimos vitam Pamphili continentes. Again, the preface to his translation of the work of XIII Eusebius on the names of places in Holy Scripture, Jerome mentions that he took his surname from the blessed martyr Pamphilus, while the preface to his commentary on Isaiah and elsewhere he calls him simply Eusebius Pamphili. If it seems strange that Jerome, who lived in the next generation to Eusebius, has failed to give a correct paraphrase of his adopted name, we must remember that Latin, not Greek, was Jerome's native language, and that in the preface to his translation of the Chronicon of Eusebius, he speaks in the strongest terms of the difficulty of rendering the peculiar and, so to speak, the native idiom of the language. On this point, the Greek writers of church history are better witnesses than Jerome. Socrates, in the first words of his ecclesiastical history, circa 430 A.D., calls him simply, without any comment on the surname, calls him some strange Greek writing name, and without any comment on the surname, which ought therefore be taken in its usual and well-known sense. Okay. On this point, the Greek writers of church history are better witnesses than Jerome. Socrates in the first words. I've already gotten that part. I've lost my spot. Okay, Sozomen, a contemporary of Socrates, in his Hist Ecclesi I 1.9 writes more strange Greek writing, and which may imply a patronymic and may be illustrated by Xenophon. Euconom, which is spelled Xenophon, Xenophon, and Oeconom is Oeconomvi .3, and then a bunch of Greek words. In a much later age, Photius Epist 73 begins a bitter invective against the reputed heretic with the words Eusebio v. Tou, Tou, Pamphilo, Pamphilou, Eite, Eite, Doulov, Doulov, Eite, Sunhq, Sunhqh, and then V. Upon this, the editor Belletta makes the usual remark that Eusebius was the disciple and friend of the martyr Pamphilus, from whom he took his surname. But it is evident that Photius himself either was or pretended to be ignorant of the actual meaning of the title. In his insolent insinuation, Ayit Diolo V, which is Eite Doulov, is of course rightly rejected, as we have seen by Fabricius Bishop Lightfoot in the article already referred to, writes with just indignation. It was either a blundering literalism or an ignoble sarcasm which led Photius Ep 73 Belletta to suggest the IX explanation that he was the slave of Pamphilus. Any man might have been proud to wear the slave's badge of such a devotion. We come at last to the positive testimony of one who at least knew the proper sense of the title, and it's a Greek word. I don't know Greek, so when I say a Greek word, that's the reason, because I can't read Greek. Okay, the oldest MS of the Preparatio Evangelica, Paris, in 451, has a scholion on the passage I3 Vig 7c3, which refers to the works of earlier Christian writers. Such say the scholiasts as were holy Justin Athenagoras, which is spelled Justin and then Athenagoras, Athenagoras, Tatian, Clement, the author of the Miscellanies, Micellanies, Origen, and moreover, Pamphilus himself, the father of our present author Eusebius. Dr. Harnack, in his description of this eminence in Texte U, utters such, spelled Texteu, period, UNTERSUHCH, 34 remarks on his scholion. It is worthy of notice that Pamphilus is described as the father of Eusebius. So obscure already was the scholiast historical knowledge. In a footnote to this passage, Dr. Harnack asks why Pamphilus is mentioned here at all. Did the author perhaps think of Lucian, or allow himself to be misled by the title of the Apology for Origen. Again, on p. 177, Dr. Hannock says, this scolion is of later origin. Add to this that the learned Arethusa cannot have supposed Pamphilus to be the father of Eusebius. As to Dr. Hannock's first objection, there is nothing to surprise us in the scholiast's mention of Pamphilus as one of the recent authors of whom Eusebius might have been thinking. His literary work was of a different character, less popular, and less generally known than the writings of the apologist previously mentioned, and for these reasons, as it seems, the scholiast, in adding his name to theirs, introduces it by the words, and its Greek words. Dr. Harnack's passing remark that the scolion is of later origins is not accepted by his very learned co-editor Oscar V. Gebhardt, who made a most careful examination of the codex and assigned this particular scolion to the ex-hand of Arethusa himself. Texte u Unters, Texteu period UNTERS I3 183 N 70. Thus, instead of an ignorant scholiast of a later age, we have the learned Archbishop Arethusa asserting that the title is to be understood in its proper sense. Eusebius, son of Pamphilus, and this we shall find to be consistent with all that we know of the relationship between Pamphilus and Eusebius. Pamphilus, we know, was many years older than Eusebius, was the director as well as the partner of his studies, and is always mentioned by him in terms not only of admiration and affection, but of the most profound respect. Thus he calls him the great glory of the diocese of Caesarea, most admirable of men of our time, of all my companions by me most fondly regretted, a man most glorious of the martyrs of our time for every virtue. The name to me thrice dear, a man who, though his whole life stone preeminent in every virtue, and when we add to such language the still more remarkable expressions quoted by Bishop Lightfoot. Okay. I need to watch how I do this. I lost my Lightfoot. From Curtin's edition of the Syriac Martyrs of Palestine, that heavenly martyr of God, my Lord Pamphilus, for it is not meet that I should mention the name of the holy and blessed Pamphilus without styling him my Lord, with such testimony of filial reverence. We can hardly doubt that when Eusebius adopted the patronymic O Pamphilo, he meant it in its full and proper significance, that henceforth he would call no man father save this best and dearest friend of his early manhood. How else, as Bishop Lightfoot says, could he express the strength of his devotion to his friend, who was more than a friend, than by adopting his name?